Yesterday I did a video and it was titled The Royal Commissions, and we're talking about the Royal Commissions of Canada. Short answer, what is that? If the government of Canada has a political hot potato and they don't know what to do with it, they don't do it anymore, but they used to do this in like 1970s, 1980s. What they would do is they would appoint someone like a retired judge to head a royal commission into whatever the issue was, and this person would be given an enormous budget. They were told you're going to have a royal commission, and it's going to go on for the next 3 years, which is past the next election. Because I don't know what to deal with this as a politician, and I got to get it off my plate so that the media don't ask me about it anymore. And I want to get reelected, so I don't want this thing to come in before the next election to make me look bad. So just go and spend, I don't know, like in the 1970s, 1980s, go and spend $12 million traveling across the country, rent out great big hotel room lecture halls, and invite people, spend a lot of money on advertising in your local town, and have people come down and give submissions to you and your co-workers and the Royal Commission about this. And then, when the next government's in power, when I've retired and I've got my enormous political pension, then you can report this to the next prime minister. This went on for so many things, and I talked about how it worked in Canada. It doesn't work at all. In the end, after you spent your $12 million on a royal commission, none of the politicians want anything to do with the recommendations. So it's a waste of $12 million in 1975 or something. So lo and behold, I was scrolling through my feed on Facebook, perhaps, and somebody somehow, it wasn't on, I don't think it was on anybody's particular, anyway, wherever it was again about royal commissions. And this time it wasn't about Canada, it was about Australia. Apparently, anybody who was part of the British Empire, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, India, Singapore, Angola, Mozambique, some of these other African countries that at one time were colonized by Great Britain. Anything to do, if they've still kept any remnant of the monarchy, they can do royal commissions. And this Royal Commission of Australia came up with recommendations to do with banking in Australia. And they said Australian people, the citizens of Australia, need some consumer protection legislation for bank loans, because the banks are giving loans to people who can't afford to make the payments on them. And what happens is these people that are in hock to the banks, well, they try to make their payments, and sooner or later they can't keep up with their payments. So their car, if it's a car loan, the car is repossessed or the house is repossessed, and these people don't get their money back. The bank keeps all of this money, and they keep the car, and then they go and they try and scam somebody else. In other words, the bank managers are not being honest with the client's ability to pay. And, a lot of these clients, unfortunately, they're not too smart. But it doesn't mean that should give the banks a license to take advantage of people that aren't that smart. But they do. So one of the Australian governments took the recommendations and made consumer protection legislation for banks, the way that they had to act towards the citizens of Australia. They couldn't do this. This particular scam was not allowed. You couldn't say someone was qualified to make payments to the bank on this loan if they weren't qualified. You couldn't do that under the new consumer legislation. But it comes out that I guess that particular Australian government is long gone, and the new one is going to be pro-scam. So despite the fact the Australians spent all this money on royal commissions and they produced this legislation and implemented it across their country. Now there's a government there. Someone says it's pro-business, pro-bank. It's pro-scam. And they're stripping away all of this consumer protection legislation. It's like all of this money to get it, to help the Australian people. And now some son of a bitches are in there in power and they're taking it all away after all of this time. Does this sound strange to you? No, this sounds like situation normal all over planet Earth. Motherfuckers get in government and they spend your money like crazy, and once in a while you do get something that you really think is a good thing for people of your country, and then some other asshole gets in there and rips it up. Are the people of Australia being served? No. No, they're not. Their governments are insane and they've gone wild, and they are anti-Australian citizen. All of those governments, doesn't matter what political party, because that's the same thing here in Canada. Every political party is out to fuck the Canadian citizen. I keep calling for a revolution, but most of the sheeple and drones think it's too much hassle, and usually they tell me they're not interested in hearing what I have to say. So nothing's really going to change. Is it?